Yo, what's up guys? We just reached the level 50. So with level 50 you have the Inferno over here. Did already clear this one. Haven't cleared any of the other Infernos just yet. This will also does open up later. But we do already clear this on Hell as well. And you do have the Inferno in the modules right now. So modules Inferno we're gonna look at later because first I want to get the shells done. So first of all, NicoNana is the very first thing that I want to be farming. But actually earlier than that, I want to go for the Rangoku. But the NicoNana team already does work, which is pretty interesting. And it's actually featuring a very interesting unit because it is featuring the Red Chachi, which is the unit over here. It's currently just sitting on a speedy set with high accuracy. Might you ask, why the Supernova? I randomly got a 20 speed on just the first upgrade that I had on the Supernova. So it's like, yeah, might as well just use that. Then we have the Plume and we have the Lily in there, of course. Plus, of course, the thing. And the main reason why this is so good is because my Chachi Red does move in front of the two side things because of the speed buff. And right now he can push back both and stun both. Because of the pushback of both and the stun on both, I actually get a lot more freedom to do a lot more damage. There's one thing really big part missing about this team yet, which will upgrade this by a long shot with using the same units. But I'll talk a bit about that later. So in this case, we go for a second rotation and then we just can do the damage over there. Left one is pretty soon to move. It will stun something, which is kind of annoying, but at least the right one doesn't move because the right one actually does give the speed buff and the attack buff to the boss. By all means, is it great right now yet? Not really. I have let this run on auto for a bit. It can definitely get about like 50 to 60-ish% win rate. But in this case, we're definitely not looking at a success over here. So why would this video be called, well, is it already working well yet? Yes, it can kind of work, but it's definitely a little bit of a tricky thing. If you hard want to farm this, maybe you're not familiar with it yet, but if you go into a round and you refresh or like you restart, it doesn't cost you any stability until you actually leave it. So that's how it works. A lot of people say a lot of stuff about it, but this is to break down how it exactly works. If you go into your run and you leave, it costs you 1. But if you go into your run, you refresh a whole bunch of times, and then you at some point leave, it still costs you 1. But every individual refresh doesn't cost you 1 extra or anything. It just still costs you that 1 for leaving once. Also, if you were to go in, refresh a bunch of times, and then at some point succeed, then it will still cost you the normal 10. So that is the kind of thing how it exactly works. So keep that in mind, make use of that, make the best use of it. So in this case, you could say, for example, I don't mind to semi-auto this, as I like to call it. Semi-auto this every time, just go in, and every time I see it going wrong, I just immediately go out so I don't waste any of my things. So in this case, as you can see, it does work, but it doesn't really work that great. So how can we make this work a lot better? Well, there's actually one very simple thing that we would need for that, and that is a Codic of Magic. And with Codic of Magic, what would that mean is that he goes for his CC skill twice in a row. So twice in a row, he's going to push back both of the side things, but also the boss, and he's going to stun them for 1 turn. With that, he's going to be so much better to also prevent just anything from happening. So we would need a Codic of Magic, and Codic of Magic, of course, drops from the Rangoku. So in this case, let's just find it over here. The Codic of Magic, there it is. We only have 5 of those just yet. They don't have to be anything good, but they have to have a Swift Rush, which would max out the Swift Rush for it altogether. Because in this case, it will permanently decrease the cooldown by 1, which makes it a lot better. Also, if we're looking for best in slots for a Plume, Codic of Magic would also be a best in slot for Plume. Because then you go for the Death Break 2 rotations in a row. And therefore, you also just simply get more Quill stacks. You get just a lot more stuff in. So her on the Codic of Magic is really darn good as well. And the same thing actually counts for the Shadow Flame Hou-Yan. Shadow Flame Hou-Yan I cannot kill just yet, but using the exact same team, I can clear it the moment I have a Codic of Magic. I tried it without the Codic of Magic, but then I simply do too little damage. So the moment I have a Codic Magic of you, maybe Codic of Magic on both of them, I will be able to clear that. So for that reason, yes, we can already start clearing the Inferno stage. But the main thing is we actually do want to clear the Rangoku first. So what is the best team I currently have for Rangoku? It's not really a great team. And there's one issue with Rangoku is that Rangoku starts countering the moment multiple of the same element did hit him. And then he hits on the count on all of those elements. You might have already noticed dark, dark, and then a light. So if you have a Yelly. Yelly is a way better damage dealer for Rangoku 2 because the best two supports are Dark. Then going for a Yelly in here would be absolutely a lot better. I might actually give that a try with Messiah, because in the end, the thing does do a good bit more damage because he's very much more single target damage focused than anything else. But let's actually give that a try on a Messiah, because I actually haven't really tried that to go for a Messiah into this boss. And we're going to go straight for the boss right away. You don't want to hit anything of the side ads or anything. So let's see if this works and how that would work. In this case, does it still aim? Nope. We always have to tap that one on. At some point, I logged in earlier this morning and I was like, wait, why did my run fail like 9 times and it succeeded once? It could be that you're working with like a different device where this is set up and then on a different device it's not set up. You definitely always have to double check that. So often if you see your runs failing a lot, it's mainly that. So in this case, we do have the counter hit going on those two rather than on the Messiah. If I had the thing in there, it would have went on the thing and that would have been the bad one. So in this case, let's see if we actually deal enough damage, because in this case, the thing would have done a lot more damage already, I would say. So now he has the counter on the light. That's still okay. It seems like it is enough damage, but also we did not get an attack break over here. So I actually would say that the thing still seems to be working better, because you do get an attack break from this dude on the right. Sure, you're nearly clear like the side ads, but single target damage wise, Messiah's just not having as much damage, and we're gonna go into a lose over here. So that's one of those things. You need to have enough damage, and your single target damage, the best damage dealer out there, of course, is a Lilium. Lilium is by far better than a Messiah, by far better than the thing. But I would say Lily is probably your best in slot for this because of the elemental things. Unless you have some kind of specific elemental damage dealer, such as maybe a Rosa or a Ciada or anything like that. Those can definitely help you out as well. But let's look at the rotation with the thing. It's by all means not a 100% run, but it is a run that can quite work already. Most of the time I was getting like 8 out of 10 or something along those lines. It would have been best if the target right away goes on the mid one. Yeah, this is the big issue. If you get a silence and if you get the attack break, then this is really a annoying stage. And also, if you're looking at like the players that have been playing for the longest time, they have been asking for a nerf on this thing, because everything is kind of smooth sailing up until this point where it gets a bit more harder for clearing out all of the content, because this thing just simply hits like a truck. You get silenced 2 rotations in a row. And because the silence 2 rotations in a row, you start dying and shit. So that's kind of the thing. I think we get an S2 over here. We get a shield, and I think with this hit should be still attack broken, but should do enough damage. So yeah, this is where you get like a very RNG heavy fight. Or depending on, do you get the silences on the wrong unit? Do you get the attack break on the wrong unit? And those kind of things. So it is definitely a bit of an RNG fight, but you're gonna have those, you're gonna need those Codex of Magic, because I will need 2 full out Codex of Magic. And I will need those most likely for the Nico stage. I will definitely need that for the Doki Doki stage. And I will definitely also want to use that for the Terramatan stage. So the moment you hit level 50, don't try to go into Infernos right away. My highest recommendation is try to go for Rangoku 2. The moment I will have those Codex of Magic, I will make an additional video talking about the Codex of Magic, how I use them, where I use them, and when I use them. And with that, just showcasing like, okay, this is how you use them. These are the teams that I do recommend, because the moment I have 2 Codex of Magic, I already can go into Doki Doki Inferno. I right away can go into NicoNana Inferno, and most likely Shadow Flame Hoyan Inferno as well, with exactly the skill ups that I have. I might have to go for a little bit more level ups, because if I use the team with the RC77, he has to be 5-star. Kazuya has to be 5-star, and that's mainly just for the speed. They have to be fast enough to actually make that work. I didn't pull a Salins just yet. If I pull a Salins, like that's kind of the thing that I'm waiting for, because if I pull a Salins, I wouldn't really need you and you as much. So it is still kind of on my mind. Do I want to use the target selection banner for Salins? Because she's really good all around right now. So I might just consider throwing that at her and then giving it a go that way, because that would make things a lot easier for Shadow Flame Hoyan. In the case of the NicoNana, I will still use the Red Chaichi because it's just the best in slot over there. And in the case of, what's it called? Doki Doki, I will go for Salins as well. But yeah, in this case, he is a really good unit. If you're looking at the skill ups, he just needs a 4 515, I would recommend to go 515 on him. And then he just needs to be speedy, high accuracy. That's all he needs. You can also kind of use him over here, but I felt like it was a little bit less safe. Let's actually do one run to see how that would work if I use him rather than the other one, because I think he is fast enough to outspeed the two sides. And with outspeeding the two sides, I think, well, you don't get the protection from this. Like, the Valerian is just so good. Valerian, in this case, might you ask, is just a 115. And you definitely want to have that 5 over there. Otherwise, it's just useless. So let's actually see. I do outspeed fully, so that's fine. So if we go for this, yep. We go for that hit. That is still fine. We outspeed. Supernova doesn't do anything. We stun both sides. In this case, we still don't have the right hit on the middle. We do get a middle double miss crit, which is really bad. We get the counter. It's about half HP. It's not crazy much, but it's still a fair bit of damage. So that's where we get our hit in. That hurts. This is the second hit, which is supposed to do a lot more damage because of the attack break. That's actually good amount of damage, not gonna lie. That is actually really good amount of damage. But big question is, when does he go for the counter? He goes for the counter at that moment, and because I have the same element as the units that are the supports, I just simply get too many counters in. And if this was a Yelly, I would really recommend to go for this team. With a Yelly, this team is actually really good. But yeah, once again, big issue is that we need to survive long enough, and with the triple dark element, it makes it a little bit more difficult. If you were to use any other defense breaker than this, then maybe it would have been possible to actually go for the Chachi in there. But yeah, so far I'm not doing that, and I definitely do need my Codex of Magic, and I will need to farm at least 20 Codex of Magic to combine everything to like 2 maxed out Codex of Magic. So I'll be farming this for a little bit, and then probably in like a day or two, I will be making a video on how I farm all of the Inferno stages. But it did want to showcase that on level 50, right away you can go into it, but it's not recommended to do it just yet. First get those Codex of Magic and then go into the next step. Well guys, thanks a lot for this one, and see you as always in the next one, which is going to be explaining the Codex of Magic on the Inferno stages.